In today's video, I wanted to share with you a recipe for some cinnamon rolls, and these are super fluffy and sweet. I also made them for my family and they really enjoyed having them, and I thought it would be nice to share it with you. So now, without further ado, let's get into the recipe. For the dough, you will need 2 cups of flour. I use 1 cup of brown spelt flour and 1 cup white flour. It is easier to make if you just use white flour. I also use half a cup of oat milk, but you can use any other plant-based milk. You will also need a 1/3 cup of xylitol or any other sweetener like coconut sugar. You will need a 1/4 cup of coconut oil, 1 tablespoon of yeast, and a pinch of salt. Start by adding to a bowl the flour. I sifted it into the bowl as it allows it to be more airy. You can use a colander with small holes or a sifter for this. Next, add to the bowl the yeast with a pinch of salt and mix it in. Then add in the xylitol or any other sweetener of your choice and mix everything together. I'm using a standing mixer for this, but you can do it all by hand. Then add in gradually the oat milk or plant-based milk of your choice and coconut oil. I know I added first the coconut oil and then the oat milk, but I learned that it is actually better to add the oil last. And also it's best to add your plant-based milk when it's lukewarm rather than cold from the fridge. Then you will mix it all together and knead the dough for 10 minutes, again either by hand or with a standing mixer. And after you have kneaded the dough for 10 minutes, check if it needs a little bit more oil if it's too dry, or a little bit more flour if it's too sticky. I noticed my dough was a little bit too sticky, so I added a bit more flour and kneaded it together. Then I made it into a ball and added a little bit of flour into my bowl. Roll your bowl around it and cover it with a towel and let this sit for 1 to 2 hours in a warm place to rest and rise. Meanwhile, you can prepare the filling, and for the filling you will need 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, 1/4 cup of xylitol or again any sweetener of your choice, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and 2 tablespoons of almond butter. Add the cinnamon and xylitol into a bowl and mix together. Then add in the coconut oil and mix that together. Add in the 2 tablespoons of almond butter and mix that. And I also ended up adding 1 tablespoon of lukewarm water and mix that in to make it the perfect consistency. Once the 1 to 2 hours are up, check on your dough and it should have risen and almost double its size. Now it is time to roll out the dough into a rectangle, and make sure that when you roll out the dough, you're not making it too thin. Once you have formed a rectangle, it is time to spread the filling all over the dough. You can do this by using the back of a spoon, a knife, or a pastry brush like I'm doing. And I decided to leave a little bit of the filling in the bowl for later. Then, once you have covered the dough with your filling, then roll it tightly from one side to the other, as you see me do here. And it's very important that it's tight so that it doesn't open up in the oven. Then you will oil a baking sheet. It is important that your baking sheet is not too big, as you want your cinnamon rolls to touch each other as they rise and also bake in the oven. I'm using an 8 by 11 inch or a 20 centimeter by 28 centimeter pan in this case. I think if it was a little bit smaller it would have been perfect, but that's about the size you should try using. Then you will cut your cinnamon roll into 6 to 8 rolls as evenly as you can. I had one corner that was a little bit thicker, so it ended up being much bigger, but generally try to do it as evenly as you can so they bake better. Then once you have cut them all up, move them onto the lined baking sheet, but before you place them on it, gently unroll the end, pull it down and tuck it in, as that will make sure that your roll doesn't open up in the oven. And also once you place it onto the baking sheet, gently press with the palm of your hand to flatten it out a bit, and repeat this with all of your rolls, placing them close to each other. Then cover them with a thin fabric or plastic bag that I'm going to reuse, and let it sit and rise for another 45 minutes in a warm place. What I like to do is actually when 30 to 40 minutes are up, I start preheating my oven, and during this time I actually move my baking sheet into the oven to continue rising as my oven preheats. And you want your oven to reach 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. And when that temperature is reached, that is when you actually start baking your cinnamon rolls. So if you didn't add them in before, just put them into the oven. But if you have them already there, start baking them for 15 to 20 minutes. While the cinnamon rolls were in the oven, I watered down a little bit of the filling that I left in the bowl. When the 15 to 20 minutes are up and the cinnamon rolls are ready, take them out of the oven and immediately coat them with a little bit of this filling to give them a shine, or you can also choose to use some maple syrup that you mixed with water, but this will really add a little bit more sweetness and a nice shine to them. Then let it cool for a little bit, and it is time to enjoy. And if you cut it down the middle, you can see how fluffy and delicious these are. That is all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like it. It really makes my day and helps me out with the algorithm. Also, feel free to subscribe down below to join the Living Life Simply community and never miss another video. Also, please let me know in the comments below if you decide to give it a try. And I will see you all very soon with a new video. Bye!